Guys, we were sitting here talking about donuts and I forgot about to start the meeting. Okay, I'm going to call this meeting to order for the City Council for March 24th and call roll.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Haig,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Okay, first thing on our agenda is the presentation from Public Safety, Mr. Schlegel.
Yes, Your Honor. As every year we go through each department to give their departmental updates. And this evening we have Public Safety. And so Chief Meska, you have 2 hours.
By himself. Nobody else will be here.
Myself, was that?
By yourself.
Yeah, he just made me extremely unpopular. So.
Lock up when you leave.
Okay, fair enough, I will. I like to just talk, I don't want anyone to listen anyway. So, I will not take 2 hours, or anywhere close to 2 hours. This is the department update for public safety. It's going to just generally be a recap of the 2024 annual report, which is in the council notes. If you have any questions from anything you saw, or if I say anything too confusing, feel free to holler out and get me stopped, but that will take more time. So, do it at your own risk. Okay, I don't know how to, I do a wheel, don't I? Okay, this is why it's going to take 2 hours. All right, so this is our mission statement. I won't read through it because it is long and flowery, but it is good to have a mission statement. It reminds us of what it is we are trying to accomplish at any given moment, and sometimes, believe it or not, that's hard to remember. We've actually had this mission statement since 99 or 2000, somewhere in there, which is why it's so long and flowery. But in 2024, we did adopt vision statements. Mission statement's kind of what you do, a vision statement's kind of how you do it. So this is what we adopted and posted and all try to go by when we are out there doing what we do. The fleet of vehicles hasn't really changed majorly in 2024. You guys know, obviously, you guys approve it and do it. We try to replace a patrol vehicle or 2 or sometimes 3 to keep us in current functioning patrol vehicles. We still have a fleet of 12 with 4 fire apparatus. That striping package was what we adopted in 2024. Fiscal year 23-24, but calendar 24, and then you guys, we've got it in this fiscal year to stripe all the patrol cars, the marked patrol cars the same, so everybody knows that we're what team it is that's coming when we're doing our thing. So the personnel, this is where the rubber meets the road, right? We all know that really you can't have a good team if you don't have very competent members and people who are willing to put in the effort to get the job done. I will say the current team, the current Mexico Public Safety team, they actually do a very good job with that, the men and women. I will say they are really second to none in policing and firefighting right now. Not saying we won't make mistakes, not saying we can't get better, we'll always try to do that, but honestly, on a day-to-day basis, what they pull off is kind of impressive. 2024, this is, on the left is Nicholas Glenn, and on the right is Dylan Goodman. That is pictures when they got through the academy. They were actually hired prior to 24. In 24 is when they made it to the academy. They have since been trained through their FTO program, and they are fully functioning public safety officers helping us accomplish things. This is Josh Peterson. He was a 2024 hire. He just got through the academy now in 2025. So now he's going through the FTO program, and we're trying to get him fully trained and fully functional. The other hire we made in 2024 was Brian Hawkins. He has not gone through the academy yet, so I don't have a cool little picture of him in front of a flag yet. But that was our other hire in 2024. As you guys know, or I say it a lot, if we're fully staffed, we have 34 commissioned officers, 10 volunteer firefighters, and 2 non-commissioned employees who help us with kind of the internal stuff. One of those non-commissioned is a part-time spot. Through all of 2024, we were 4 down. There might be a day or 2 that we were 3 down, and then a day or two when we were 5 down, but basically our number was 4 down the entire year. We've talked about this for the past several years. I don't know if you remember, but in '22 and then in '23, I mentioned that we were only hiring 2/3 of a person for every person that we lost, which obviously is not a great way to get fully staffed. In 2024, we only had 10 applicants, and that is the lowest number of applicants I have seen since I've been at Public Safety. Furthermore, we only hired 2 of those 10 applicants, which were those 2 named right there, which is only 20%, and that's the lowest number of people that we hired out of the applicant pool every year. So those numbers can be a little frustrating or a little daunting, but the lemonade is that we only lost 2 people in 2024. So actually our ratio of replacement went up to 1-to-1. So we didn't gain any ground, we also didn't lose any ground. And we are still sticking with kind of our tactics of, we're out there, we're trying to stay flexible in what we're looking for, meet people where they are, but also not lower our standards to a point where we end up with trouble 5 years from now.
In generalities, can you say why we only hired 2 out of 10, but the other 8 failed, hadn't?
Just the other 8 after we talk to everybody, we do some testing and screening and various things, and just what we felt would be a good fit for us. And yeah, keep us headed in the right direction. I'll give these officers and the volunteer firefighters credit as well. They've even told me they don't want to bring on people just for numbers that ends up hurting us all in the long run. So they're all, at least right now, willing to do all of the extra work to make up for what we're missing in people. So
34 is a full staff?
34 is fully staffed.
Are we at full staff then?
No, we're at 30.
30, that's what I thought. This is-
Well, actually, right now we're 5. We're at 29 right now.
Okay.
But we've got people in the wings. 20, which I won't bore you with 25. I want to save that for next year, right? So
Okay.
I'll tell you next year how 25 goes. So. So this is how we spend our time. I've talked before about calls for service versus dispatch counts. Calls for service is when people call us, say they want our help, and then dispatch counts is that number plus traffic stops, anything else self-initiated we do, open business checks, secluded area checks, follow up on cases, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, me saying that we were down 4 people all year, if you look, actually our dispatch counts were up 6.5%, which I do believe speaks to what those people were out, the crew was out doing. They did not stop working. Our calls for service were actually down 8.5%, which I'd like to think that's actually kind of what the community wants. People would love for us to just solve their problems before they call us, right? That doesn't happen a lot. We always are saying, call us while it's going on, don't wait and call us later. But my hope is since we were out there so much and being so active, there actually was a reduction in times that people thought they needed to holler out and call for us. Not that we don't want to show up when that happens, but obviously it's better if we can be a little preventative. Our traffic stops, if you look at that, 1,300 plus traffic stops, that was up 51%. So that's a pretty impressive number as well. Ironically, our reports was about the same number of reports. So we actually took about the same number of crime reports that we normally do and little incident reports that we normally do. But the cases we were able to send to a prosecutor, that can be the county prosecutor, city prosecutor, or the juvenile officer, was up 33%. So they, again, that crew, they didn't just take a report for the sake of making paper or making someone happy. They actually would put in the effort to do follow-up and actually make a case that could be prosecuted. So kind of what we do, personnel conduct reports, we call them PCRs. That's kind of our customer satisfaction survey mechanism, and that's people can reach out if they have an allegation of misconduct, if they don't like what we're doing, if they just wonder what the heck we're doing, or if they do like what we're doing, they can let us know all of that. You can see our numbers actually went down. There was only 7 PCRs filed from the public in 2024. And the percentage that were unfounded or not sustained, which means we looked into them and it just flat didn't happen the way it was presented at first, that percentage was higher as well. This is a good, solid mechanism. We want to stay involved in that. We want to hear what the public has to say. We want to get their feedback, and we are always looking to make sure we're at the top of our game. So that was the 24 numbers. Now, use of force, and I made a mistake on this slide I saw where the third column is supposed to be 2024. But yeah, you can see our use of force incidents went up 52% in 2024. That's not obviously what we would love to see. Honestly, I think everybody's seeing it just nationwide. Just everybody seems a little more volatile than maybe in years past. People have very strong opinions of how everything's supposed to work, and when it doesn't work the way they feel, they have much stronger reactions. But all that being said, we evaluate every one of these and every officer's actions in these use of force incidents, and we did not find any that were out of policy, out of practice, out of what we would want our practices to be, meaning that the officers did not fail to react or did not underreact, and they also did not overreact and do something that we regret. Most importantly, the most important number that you can pull from all of that verbiage is that nobody, meaning officers or the public, were significantly hurt in any of our use of force contacts. So that's ultimately the goal. NIBRS reports, I've talked about them before, NIBRS or UCR. It's really just kind of the crimes that the public kind of pays attention to across the country, and you really have to be careful when you start dealing with these numbers because they're so easily twisted a little bit, but it is solid for comparing ourselves to years prior. And so at the end, we had a total of 456 of these type crimes, these NIBRS reportable crimes, which was a 5.5% increase. Obviously, we don't like it when those numbers go up. But if you look at that little graph, you can see that it's kind of been a steady gain for the past several years. Basically, since I think we all crawled out of like the COVID cave and we all started getting more active and interacting with each other more conflicts, more need for the police, and we've just kind of been on a steady climb the past several years. I threw it in there last year, and I've got it in there too. This actually is not out of line from where we were 2 decades ago, so it's not like the town's running, rampant, falling apart or anything. These numbers are not horrific. Obviously, we always like them to be better, but they're not horrific. I would point out that the biggest category is larceny/theft, which is stealing, in plain people talk, and that number is always our biggest category, and that can be anything from a very minor shoplifting to a theft of a motor vehicle or some other felony item. So that's our biggest category. That was 380. That actually went up 11% over 2023. So when you have your biggest category go up by a significant number, that obviously shakes up all the numbers. So that's something we need to pay attention to, right? We need to figure out if there's a way and how we can participate in reducing thefts. But again, that's a crime against property, not a crime against people, which is the stuff that shakes the community a little bit more. I will say on crimes against property, burglaries, that to me that's always seemed like the worst. Well, really, a crime against property, the most invasive. I don't know if you recall, but in ₿23, we actually had 70 burglaries. That was a reduction. We got that down 60%, and I mentioned it in ₿23. The officers actually, we had a group of people going around doing stuff they weren't supposed to be doing, and we made some good cases, got some people out of that habit, and looks like we're back to our more normal numbers. And then we continue to have a high clearance rate, a 46% clearance rate, compared to the national average on burglaries is actually pretty high as well. So we are continuing to work on that so that we are all better. Arson. Arson crimes are kind of funny because it takes a lot of effort to put out a fire. Then it takes a lot of effort to figure out what caused the fire. And then if you figure out that maybe someone should be held criminally responsible for that fire, it takes a lot of effort to get a case put against somebody. We take arsons pretty seriously since we're the police and the fire department. We have to do all of that ourselves. So nationwide, arson is a very underreported type crime. So we went from 0 in 2023 to 6 in 24. We worked pretty hard at figuring out what was causing these crimes. Even though it made our NIBRS number higher, the goal is hopefully we have fewer fires in the future. And we did actually have a 100% clearance rate on all of those cases that we discovered. The homicide number, murder, that's the ugly word and what shakes communities the most. That number is a little bit misleading, which I'll actually talk about in a later slide in a couple of hours. But there's only one, we only had one that was the typical type murder. It was a domestic incident, so it wasn't some random stranger in town. Everybody, all the players knew each other. And then the other two I will talk about in a little bit. Traffic crashes. Last year, I said I was very pessimistic that we could keep the number below 250, and then everyone threw in, the community too, community, cops, everybody threw in, and we only had 219 in 2024, which is the lowest number I've ever seen. Very cool. I'm going to put the disclaimer in again. I don't know that we could keep those numbers up, but we will keep trying. So, what was I going to talk about there? Oh, yeah, the prongs for traffic roadway safety. They say it's education, enforcement, and engineering. And everybody pitched in on those fronts, I think, this year and actually helped the numbers. Education-wise, MoDOT tries to do little things. We try to share stuff and get everyone out knowing. Actually, Jacob Schellbarger, Audrain County, PA, he kind of hosted a first impact training, which is kind of supposed to get teen drivers, it's put on by MoDOT, but get teen drivers kind of to take what they're doing seriously as they jump into the driving world. So the education aspect was out there. Enforcement, you saw, the officers were out there enforcing traffic laws, doing traffic stops. Engineering. So last year at this time, I was talking about the centerline rumble strips on the bypass. Those, in fact, did get put in. Drew Williford, city engineer, and city street department, we met with MoDOT, and we met and we met and we met. We spent a lot of time talking about it, but we did actually get them in. The bypass now has centerline rumble strips. In a sad and frustrating twist of fate, the same week that those rumble strips went in, we actually had a fatality on the bypass. But just what I'll say about that is that fatality crash was caused by an impaired driver who was driving aggressively. That is not what centerline rumble strips are designed to prevent. And we took that into account the whole time we were debating this and fighting about it and all of that the previous fatalities, the numbers that were growing at a scary rate were not caused by, say, impaired drivers who were driving aggressively or carelessly. So it is still my hope and expectation that has made the bypass significantly safer. It's still my expectation that a few years from now, we can all talk about how great the bypass is, and then we'll do our part for the rest of the town too. Fire responses, they did increase in 2024, but the great thing is actually all of the increases were in false alarms and smoke scares. So that's great. That's less work for us. This town seems to be very vigilant about fire dangers, and so that's a good thing. But that is not to say that we just sat on our thumbs all year and didn't do anything. We actually, again, the crews, they did some pretty impressive work. We started off the year on January 1st with a structure fire, and actually in the 6 days, January 1st through 6th, we had 3 structure fires, and they weren't like the little minor structure fires like a pot on a stove that catches a cabinet or something. They were the real thing. They were in walls and in ceilings, and actually a significant danger. And so the crews, they showed up every time. You know, it wasn't always fun. Well, it was never fun. And yeah, it was just bam, bam, bam. But they did not fail to show up and take care of business, and they deserve credit for that. So that's how the year started, and then we followed it up in February with the Newtone Cleaner fire. That was a significant fire as well. Apartment building with, I think, 8 apartments, maybe 10. Not all of them were occupied, but there was significant life danger in that fire. It had roasted pretty good before we even knew. And again, they did a good job. All people were fine. We did lose some animals in that fire. Martinsburg, Teddy Joe's fire, we went and helped in February then, went and helped Martinsburg and Little Dixie with the Teddy Joe's fire. And then that was followed by the Empire Club natural cover fire, the old Empire Club. I will say that is the largest natural cover fire I have seen in the city limits of Mexico. We actually had to go back a few times because as weather conditions changed, it was going around our little prevention and our containment efforts. So again, the crews continued to show up time and time again, and there was no loss of any real property, just grass and dead trees and stuff like that. Natural cover fires, they tend to be thought of as very, very maybe easy and maybe not a real danger. I would say, though, that we all should, we're seeing it all nationwide, and actually at just Camden County last week, right, they were evacuating people all over the place because the natural cover fires down there were not cooperating, and I think they ended up losing a house. One of them eventually got to a house and took it out. So the crews did a good job with that. We got it down, and it's over. And then that was followed up later in the year with Crown Linen. I think I estimated we threw 300,000 gallons of water at Crown Linen. It was a significant fire in the middle of a building, in the middle of their little campus. I will say that while we lost the building that was involved, we actually protected all the other exposures. They did not lose any significant equipment. They did not lose any of their vehicles or any of the other buildings which were right nearby. So that was a lot of work that the crews did well on as well. And then the bypass crash I mentioned earlier in late summer, that involved getting people out of cars and putting cars out as well. So we're always we always train. We got to train, got to stay up on what we're doing, and public relations, public education. I've got it in the annual report. We did about 3,200 hours of training in the year. That's not per person. That's us as a group, and it doesn't count things like our field training time or anything like that. So we are always trying to pay attention and train and stay up to date on what we do. Public education, that's like what's going on the left. That's a fire station tour with a bunch of young kids. They like fire trucks, right? So you bring them in and you let them look at the fire trucks and let them climb around and do some cool things. And then you try to sprinkle in a little fire prevention stuff, fire safety stuff as well, so they can take that home with them. On the right would be a public relations thing we do. That's from Shop with the Cop. Shop with the Cops actually, nowadays, it's actually run and organized by an Audrain County Sheriff's deputy, but we always participate, and the officers show up and help reach out to some of the children and families who maybe are a little more in need. It should be pointed out that all the officers that do that, they're on their own time, right? They're doing it just to be part of the community, because that's what we're always trying to do. And then we did get a cool little award in December. The Arthur Center gave us a Community Partner Award, so that's cool. We can brag about that for a while. Last time we talked, last year, we talked about some of the things that communities always get stressed about, and one was drugs, right? All communities are always concerned with drugs. So what I will say is this year, public safety alone, we made 46 drug pops, to include one that was a distribution or a sale pop in a protected area. I mean, it was a little too close to a school. So the officers, again, they were out doing their thing. That was a 39% increase over 2023. We always work with our partner agencies, which are, they're anybody, but East Central Drug Task Force, DEA, FBI, and any law enforcement agencies in the area. We're all working together. We're all trying to make all the communities better, but of course what I care about most is Mexico. Treatment court, we help with treatment court. If the PA or the courts need anything from us, any information or anything, we are always there to help out with that, to kind of attack it from that direction. We're also part of ACCORD, which is the Audrain County Coalition on Reducing Drugs. We participate in that. We will help out however they feel police can most effectively help out. So we're putting in the effort. We are trying to win that battle or help that battle, help minimize what's going on. I put that term fentanyl toxicity. That has to do with the 2 prior homicides, right? So it's always been a thing. It's always when someone dies of an apparent drug overdose, there are always people that want the drug dealers charged with murder. And that sounds great. It is actually very hard to do in court, because by most drug overdoses years ago, like say it was an upper or meth, they might have a heart attack. So then they've got to prove, the PA has to prove, say they died of a heart attack, prove that was caused by meth, then prove who gave them the meth, and then make that stick in court. So fentanyl is the buzzword. We hear it all across the country. It is a pretty deadly, or it can be a pretty deadly opioid. Medical examiners, coroners, they have started, what I've seen over the past few years, they declare cause of death as fentanyl toxicity, as opposed to saying, oh, their brain just shut down or something. What that does is helps us a lot in criminal courts, because it's one step less that the prosecutor has to prove that the cause of death was caused by a drug. Now it's right there in black and white by the coroner. So that has actually helped law enforcement, prosecutors, go after drug dealers, yet make a murder charge on people, which hopefully the goal is right, then that makes them a little more leery to stop what they're doing. And that was the case with our other 2 murders in 2024. We did have a drug overdose over the summer. The officers put in the labor to make the case and prove up 2 people that were responsible for giving those drugs, those opioids. And so again, it made the numbers look higher, but the end goal is that hopefully the community's a little safer. So how are we doing in Mexico? I don't have numbers for Mexico, but Missouri, I think Department of Health kicked this out. It's only for part of 2024. Not the whole year, but yeah, fatalities from drug overdoses are down 26% in Missouri, ER visits down 60%, and admissions into hospitals where they're non-fatal are down 44%. So we're hoping those numbers indicate that maybe there's an impact. Last time we also talked about the other thing a lot of communities talk about, homelessness. That is something that, yeah, all communities are talking about. You see it on the news. Communities all attack it a different way. Why does it matter? And I've kind of put that in the upper corner. When there are homeless issues, it decreases the legitimate use of properties, because obviously whoever owns the property can't necessarily do what they need to do or want to do on that property. It also increases unsanitary areas, can be a public health issue. for everyone. And then there's also the people who live that way. They have personal health risks and exposure risks, and they actually are at an increased risk of being victimized themselves. So we do want to try to keep that to a minimum as much as we can. So what do we do? And it's not new, it's what we were trying last year too. First of all, we do respond to all reports, and we do try to take an action. The comments that have gone around through the country that there's nothing that can be done, we just don't believe that's true, and we do actually try to make a change. We do what we call secluded area checks, where we get out of the car and walk around in areas where things may be hidden and not readily visible to see if we can take action ourselves. Then if we find people who are willing to take the steps to get out of these situations, we try to get them locked in with resources so they in fact can do that. And then in fact, if we come across people who are not willing to put in the steps to get out of those situations, then we can make prosecutable cases, and sometimes we have to go that way. So that's what we're doing to try to keep that to a minimum. I do think that maybe we're having a little more success than some communities, but that's up for everyone else to decide too. So yeah, put all that together, and we feel like we actually have a pretty good partnership with the community, the citizenry as a whole, and actually you guys, the city council does a good job of supporting public safety, and we're reciprocating by helping the community as a whole be a good, safe community. That's the ultimate goal. Along those lines, talking about partnerships, I know that last council meeting, there was a big discussion of the partnerships, possible partnership with, City Hall and Boone Hospital and Mexico Public Safety. And I was just going to throw out that if anybody has any questions or wants to get the Mexico Public Safety perspective from it, reach out. I'm always available. I'm sure Mr. Slagle wouldn't care. And we will help answer any questions that you've got on that end, and I can answer any questions you've got right now on this end. None?
Yeah, but no, we thank you for the great job you're doing, and your staff.
Yeah, they do a good job. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, we do need to do the minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
March 4th, or 10th, sorry.
Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Haig.
Abstain.
Briggs.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Okay, we have, under item 5, we have 2 resolutions. These require reading by title only and passage. And the first one has to do with contract documents for the bridge. Mr. Schlegel.
Yes, Your Honor, this is for the replacement of the Pollock Road Bridge. We did put that out for bids. We got 2 bids. To cover the bids and the recommendation, Drew Williford.
Oh, good evening, council. It's been over a 2-year process, but we are finally there. We actually have taken bids for the Pollock Road Bridge replacement project, as Bruce mentioned. It was advertised in the Mexico Ledger on February 5th and posted on some other online sites for advertisement as well. And through that process, we received only 2 bids, interestingly enough. One from Lewis Company, the other from Mara Excavating. Lewis Company is out of Grain Valley, and Mara is out of Bonnets Mill. Lewis Company was the low bid, coming in at $945,743.02, with the other bid coming in above $1.2 million. This project has been, I think you know, it's been in the works for quite some time, and we are fortunate this project is a grant project with Missouri Department of Transportation, eligible for a 12.3% match on our local side. So as far as the city goes, this is an excellent opportunity to get this bridge replaced. We have conducted a reference check on Lewis Company. This is a company we have not worked with before, and all the references came back good. No problems or red flags to speak of. Our budget in this fiscal year provides that the current available, I should say, is a little over $1.2 million. So by the time you factor in the engineering that will be needed for construction inspection and the administrative services side that we've contracted with Horner and Schifrin, as well as the cost for construction with Lewis Company, we do have enough money to cover all costs with this project. So we'd recommend proceeding with reading by title only and passage. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
I move for reading of bill number 2025-15.
Second.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Hay,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Bill number 2025-15, a resolution authorizing city manager to sign contract documents with Luth Company LLC for BRO R1191, replacing the Pollock Road Bridge. I move for passage of bill number 2025-15.
Second.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Hay,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Okay, moving on to the second item, B, bill number 2025-16, an agreement with the Optimist Club. Mr. Slagle.
Yes, Your Honor, this is our annual agreement with the Optimus Club to provide services to our community and to cover the contract and the agreement with Chad Underhill.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. The 2024-25 budget allows for the City of Mexico to contribute to the Optimist Club of Mexico for $7,500 to assist in offset of operational costs related to providing programs and activities for the Mexico community. Staff recommends that the City of Mexico and the Optimist Club enter into an agreement and proceed with giving the $7,500 to be happy to answer any questions that you have as far as with that.
I move for,
Go ahead.
I move for reading of bill number 2025-16.
Second.
Williams,
Abstain.
Miller,
Yes.
Hay,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Bill number 2025-16, a resolution authorizing city manager to enter into an agreement with the Optimist Club of Mexico, Missouri to assist in providing services for the Mexico community. I move for passage of bill number 2025-16.
Second.
Williams,
Abstain.
Miller,
Yes.
Hay,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Okay, other business, we have a staff report on the Aquatic Center. Mr. Slagle.
Yes, Your Honor. As part of the Aquatic Center, the cost of continual operating and as far as labor costs and so on, the Park Board has met and recommends an increase in the pricing as far as admission fees. And to cover the details, once again, Chad Underhill.
Good evening. When the current budget was developed and approved, there was no way to anticipate the passage of a minimum wage amendment. Due to the passage of Proposition A on November 5th, 2024, local market prices for seasonal part-time labor are expected to increase over the next 2 years. Minimum wage for non-government employees has increased to $13.75 in January of '25 and will increase to $15 in 2026. Staff presented options for possible fee changes to the Mexico Park Board for consideration at the February 3rd meeting. The Park Board members voted to recommend to City Council to increase the admission fees by $1, making the daily admission $6. Staff recommends that Council concur with the Mexico Park Board recommendation to increase the admission fees by $1, making the daily admission fee to $6. Be happy to answer any questions.
How much do you anticipate that extra dollar will generate?
Last year, we had 14,000 patrons come through, so that.
Need a motion to increase the admission fees by $1, making daily admission $6 for the Fairgrounds Aquatic Center.
Second.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Hay,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Okay, next item is claims.
Move to pay the claims.
Second.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Hay,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Okay, we move on to council comments. Larry, I'll start with you.
I really don't have much except congratulate the high school girls and boys. They did very, very well. They were fun to watch, the games I saw, and that's about it. Congratulations to them.
Mr. Miller.
I think he covered the sports, and I don't have much else to say, so I'll pass tonight.
Okay, Steve?
Just the congratulations and thank you to Rita and Roger. I guess this will be the last one, huh? We won't see you again, but thank you so much for your time with the city and just the service you've given over the years. So very appreciative. I think the people of Mexico owe you a debt of gratitude for what you've done for the city and the places and what we've become. And so come back and see us. So, you know, we're always looking for council members too. So if we want to run in the future, you know, come on.
I was going to mention that too, Steve. I thought I'd wait till the next meeting to make sure they were gone.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Chris?
I just want to say, I'm not going to say I'm not going to run again, but I won't be here at the next meeting. I always think that's awkward, sorry, so I'm passing the torch thing. But it's been a great decade, and to think that pretty much everybody here will be different, because you guys two of you will be gone. The only one will be left is you back there, Bryce. So I appreciate all the friendships I've made and all the things I've been able to be a part of. I might be back next year, I don't know. I'm not going to be one of those people that says I'm never coming back, because I see that happen and then they won't. Do you think I should run? I don't know. So I would just hope that everybody keeps in mind, you know, when I first started here a decade ago, it was very closed. We didn't have all this public access, and now I would say we are the most accessible out of any board, any group in this community. You can find out anything you want here. So I would just ask that you guys continue that, because if you don't, you know, then you might, I remember when I ran, people thought, no way he's going to win, and I did. So I would say just keep that in mind. And then I will say, you know, we had this big discussion on the city hall last time. So I had several people come to me and ask me about that. So the two things I heard is, one is where they got $5 million all of a sudden, because every time we've asked for something, we're told we don't have money. And then the second thing is, how do you spend $13 million and not have a vote? So, and tie us down for 20 or 30 years with no extra money. So just keep those in mind. That's just what I've heard people have come to me and asked. So besides that, I appreciate everybody. I appreciate you guys that are leaving, and wish you all the best. That's all I got.
Okay, well, Steve, you stole a little of my thunder, but I want to thank Roger and Rita for your time and all the years and years and years and years of service you've given to Mexico. And so, anyway, you will be missed. And Chris, we need to thank you for you've been here for a long time. And we'll take up the issue of the City Hall again, but not tonight. Okay, Mr. Schlegel?
Chris, with you not being here at the next meeting, thank you for your 15 years of service.
Dang.
And I do have $1 for you for this last year, so I'll deliver it.
Dang. I've gotten really rich over this thing.
15 years of service and made $15.
And a shirt.
And a shirt.
And a shirt.
Shirts.
Yeah.
And a bat. You got a
Oh, I
name tag.
got a little badge,
Name tag,
yeah. Yeah, it's been
Or two.
been really lucrative. And, you know, people don't, and I'll just say, people don't understand we do this as a volunteer. I have kids and stuff there, they're like, oh, you must, you know, they hear me at work and they're like, oh, you're on city council, you must make a lot of money. And I'm like, no, I make $1. And they're like, no, and I'm like, yeah, really, that's what we get. So it really takes dedication and a drive to want to do this, to be up here, so.
Thank you.
Okay, we're ready for public comments. If you want to get up and go to the mic and address the council, please step forward, say your name, your address, your address, and you've got 3 minutes. And we have somebody.
Loud, sorry. My name's Lois Brace, and I'm at 620 Hazel Street, Mexico, Missouri. And I'm also the executive director of Presser Arts Center, and we were the nominator of the City of Mexico for Creative Community Award, and we got them this week. So I'm here to present it to this council. It's your award. You all belong to it. It belongs to you. It belongs to Mexico. So I want to get them in the picture. I don't have to be in the picture. You all have to be in the picture. So I don't like everyone.
Why don't you just stand there and hold it?
Okay.
There you go. You're fine.
That wouldn't look right. Oh. And these, we have 10 of these, and these go on the population signs coming and leading into Mexico. So I don't know if we have 10 of those, but they're yours. They belong to you.
Probably close.
And I don't know how you're going to do it, but aren't they gorgeous?
They are.
They're beautiful. Congratulations.
Thank you for all your work.
Drew, while you're not doing anything, you can take care of those signs.
Lois, I do have a question for you. Are they sending a glass thing?
No.
Okay, they are not.
We did not get the glass award that the other recipients received because we got 10 of those.
Okay.
And they are created by the Missouri Department of Transportation. So it's a
Okay.
big deal.
So-
And, yeah, sorry.
Okay, anybody else? All right, do I have a motion for adjournment?
Move adjourned.
Second.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller.
Yeah.
Day.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.